Hey guys, Dell here today. We're going to be comparing an expensive versus luxury leather jacket today. So the expensive jacket is this Schott 618. It is made in the USA and it costs $915. The luxury jacket is a Rainbow Country Hercules. It's made in Japan and costs about $2,200. What makes the difference in price? Is it worth it? Let's dig in. So the way we're going to compare these jackets is based on materials and cost, seamanship or workmanship, how well they work on the human body, and are they suited for their purpose. So this Schott 618, it is made out of heavyweight steer hide. This is a leather that has been treated to be water resistant. It has a top coat to it. This type of leather typically costs maybe around $6 to $8 per square foot. And so it's expensive, but it's not the most expensive option out there. For example, when I was pricing lambskin, you could get that for around $2 a square foot. And these are purely retail costs. So actual manufacturers that are buying at wholesale prices in large quantities would be negotiating much lower prices for the actual leather that they're buying. Other materials and components of this Schott jacket, it's got some heavy duty hardware, snaps, zips, buckle, the big main zip, which is really tough and looks to be a number 10, which is a big bulky zipper. And the interior has this quilted nylon lining with what appears to be maybe more nylon or a duck canvas. I actually don't know what this pocket is made out of, but some robust but not necessarily expensive materials on the interior. How this jacket is put together from a seamanship standpoint is functional but not beautiful. This jacket is well put together. There's no falling apart at the seams going on or anything like that. No loose threads or other problems, but you can find areas where the stitching is a little uneven. That is especially more likely and apparent at places like this, where on the sleeve, two big chunks of leather are coming together and the stitching that goes across it, I'm going to bring it closer for you to see. We tend to see a little bit of a wobble in those areas. And that's just because it's more difficult right there. You've got two big areas coming together, you've got multiple parts that you're trying to hold, and you're working with a thick leather. So little areas where there are those, what you might consider to be imperfections in the leather, in the seamanship, show up more on this Schott jacket. Just in general, you get the sensation that this jacket is well put together, but not beautifully put together. How does this jacket work on the body? Now this is a place where Schott shines. I think it's one of the reasons why their jacket has had a long-lasting place is because it feels good on the body. It's a jacket that fits well. It's made for motion and works with that motion. It meets the functionality that it's aiming for, which is to say this is a motorcycle jacket and it has a lot of features that are intended for that purpose and that it works well within that purpose. For example, the short length of this jacket in a classic motorcycle jacket, okay, it's perfect for that. For example, the way the arms sit, they are comfortable to have forward, and it's not just because of their length, it's because the way that this arm is attached to the body is it allows for easy motion forward. That's these functional things in the back and the way the arm is sewn on and rotated forward a bit. So there's a lot of thinking that goes into this design that makes it good for the human body and very fit for purpose. So a place that Schott really shines. And I would say if we're thinking overall about those categories, then what we see is that it is made of decent materials with decent attention to detail and meticulousness in the construction, but that the jacket itself is very fit for purpose, very good on the human body, and kind of enjoyable to wear because of that. So all of those things together make this a great jacket. Now let's talk about those same categories with the Rainbow Country jacket. All right, so here's this Rainbow Country jacket. It costs about $2,200 retail. When we talk about the materials on this jacket, we immediately notice a huge increase in price from the Schott jacket. It's made out of Shinki Hikaku horsehide, and this leather runs $20 to $22 a square foot retail. It could actually run higher depending on the particular method of tannage used for the batch that is being purchased to make a jacket. So this leather is way more expensive than the leather that Schott is using. It is also harder to find. You know, the leathers that are produced out of Shinki Hikaku are made in limited quantities. It is just harder to get them, even if you have the money to buy them. So there is an additional rarity involved when we're talking about jackets made from this material. And in fact, some makers like Freewheelers have not been making leather jackets recently because they have not been able to get the leathers that they desire that are up to their standards for making jackets. So we see that in addition to cost, simply having access to the material can be difficult with leather jackets in this tier. Also want to look at other things the jacket is made of. The hardware, for example, is made to a standard to make it seem like it's from the 1930s and 40s, which is the era that this jacket is looking to reproduce. So matching details from the era have an additional cost to it, both from the hardware, which these ball and chain zips are more expensive than the simple ring zips that we see on the Schott chest there. See the comparison there, that little ring guy versus this ball and chain. It's a small example, but it's the kind of thing that runs throughout. The interior, instead of being an inexpensive poly and nylon kind of mixture, is this very nice Melton wool. It's a beautiful and beautifully attached material. The interior of this jacket is very neatly done. And we even see here in the sleeve with this cotton flannel. Beautiful, a material that is a little easier to get your sleeve into than this wool while still being a warm, high quality material. So all of these kind of aspects of the material are more expensive. The buckles on the back. You know, everything about this jacket, as a matter of fact, from my understanding from reading about the Rainbow Country brand, is all of these items are sourced from Japanese makers. So that all adds additional cost. How is this jacket put together? What is the sew-manship like? Well, in a word, beautiful. More words? Stunning, amazing, laser-like, just very well put together. And that attention to detail takes time. And it also just means potentially more wastage. If we're aiming for a standard of perfection and you don't quite reach it with a certain part of a jacket, then maybe you have to start over. Or maybe you have more wastage in the hides that you're using because you're only selecting the highest, most perfect panels. And so it leads to a jacket that is much more expensive with materials and much more expensive with the time needed to get those high stitch counts, to get those perfect panels matching. For example, I'm going to show you here the sleeves, how the grain on the sleeve looks with this other sleeve, and then how the cuffs have a different but matching kind of grain. It's intentional. It's on purpose. They're doing this. This is all thought out and put into the design, and all carries through into this being a more expensive jacket. How does this jacket fit on the body? This jacket also does fit very well on the body, and it allows movement while still looking good. It doesn't feel tight, even though it is a very trim fit. You know, it does allow less room for layerings, but that's a matter of the nature of the jacket and the style. And when we talk about fitment for purpose and suited for the purpose, you know, this is a jacket that in general you'd be wearing in the standing position. It does have some features that make sense for that. You know, the arms, they are less aggressively tilted towards the front. They still do have like nice tight high armholes that allow for easy motion. The jacket has what's called a front drop, which means that this front of the jacket runs a little bit longer than the back of the jacket. And that's just because the nature of a standing body is that the hips have a bit of a tilt to them, and so it makes sense for a jacket made for someone standing to have a little bit more length on the front. This jacket on the fit on the body, it's very comfortable and fits well. And suited for purpose? Yeah, very much suited for the purpose. It's a sports jacket. How do you characterize that style? I mean, hanging out is what I do in it, and it does it really well. Overall then, this Rainbow Country jacket, it is largely about the material cost and the production cost and time, that it is going to be more expensive. And it makes sense that it's more expensive because those two categories obviously carry through into the end product, into this jacket and how it looks and feels while on. There's something else that goes into this comparison that I think is not necessarily as apparent without holding these two jackets next to each other and looking right at them, which is while making a leather jacket, a garment that is a heavy you know, around 5 pounds in weight, that is made of a thick and robust material, and the goal is to make it look refined. You can see that this Rainbow Country jacket just has a refined look to it. That is something that it costs more because of the time and materials involved. Now, this Schott jacket, it doesn't look refined. It does look very robust, and robustness has a cost too. It just doesn't happen to be quite as high as the amount of time and energy going on to making this refined looking jacket. Now, between these two jackets, they're both awesome. You know, this one costs $900. This one costs over $2,000. I like them both. You know, the fact that this jacket is over $2,000 doesn't make me like it necessarily more than the Schott jacket. And that's something that I want to get to here. You kind of have to decide, if you're looking at these jackets and considering buying them, what you're going to use them for and how does it work within your wardrobe. I'm a guy that wears leather jackets a lot, and so it's part of my goal with my wardrobe to have leather jackets for many or most occasions that I can conceivably, reasonably wear them. And so I have a wide range of jackets. I would say if you were looking for just 2 black leather jackets, having the Rainbow Country and having the Schott jacket really covers a wide spectrum, a huge spectrum, and if I just had to pick 2, I'd pick those 2. But hey, if you're typically wearing a hoodie and sneakers and t-shirts, you know, the Schott is more in line with that kind of style. If you're typically wearing button-down shirts and trousers, nicer dress shoes or boots, maybe the Rainbow Country is more in line with that style. And so aside from just considering the price of these jackets, you should also consider how it works with what you're wearing and what it is that you're trying to do with your own wardrobe. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of these 2 awesome jackets. Let me know what you think about it, and if I could answer any other questions about them, I'm here for you. Have a good day.